Hello, and welcome back to the #1 survival guide of the Cylinder. And today, we shall retrace our path to the west to visit the Sandstone Steppes. As you begin riding your horse up the cliff road, you turn and glimpse the dune sea you had just escaped. Suddenly, you see a shadow on the ground. You think it's a bird, but you look up and see a cliff skipper. Cliff skippers are very strange creatures. They are reptiles that have membranes in between their legs that allow them to skip from each cliff. They are also scavengers, which allows them to pick off corpses, but they also like to hunt occasionally, usually eating things like mice and insects. As you continue on, you're beginning to feel the temperature difference between here and the sweltering deserts below. You take a minute to take in the fresh air and admire the mountains as you look into the cliffs and see a cave with something moving inside of it. It was a swarm of red-boned dragons. Because of these dragons' size, they rely mainly on teamwork to bring down prey, which makes them one of the most social species of dragons in the world. Because of that, it made it very easy for humanity to domesticate them, and because of that, they are one of the most loyal companions you could find. However, these dragons are still in the species Draconis, which means they still do have a breath weapon, which is where their name comes from. As when they take down a large enough prey animal, they will use their serrated teeth to grind its bones into a fine powder that they will then ingest and turn into something similar to shrapnel. They will then, if they feel threatened, create an explosion of fire and bone shards, making your wounds hurt even more. However, just like any good domestic animal, they have different genetic morphs. These morphs being the green bone dragon and the dazzling blue bone dragon. The green bone dragon has a slightly more atrophied neck pouch due to it not necessarily needing its breath weapon nearly as much in captivity. Its dazzling counterpart has a much more exaggerated neck pouch, mainly due to selective breeding, along with its sparkly scales. You continued your trail up the mountain, and came to a small cave carved out of the mountain by wind. You look in, and see two red glowing eyes and the sound of shuffling feet within. It was a cliff troll, a very elusive species of troll that live in groups of 12 and reside within caves carved out in the mountains. Other than that, there is not much that we know about them. One of the trolls makes a sound that spooks your horse, sending you flying down the cliff. You wake up and see a small spring with some vegetation around it. Hiding very stealthily in the bush, you notice a cliff goat. A larger species of goat that you can find around more heavily vegetated or wetter areas of the desert. They eat pine needles and prickly pear fruit. They live in herds of up to 30 or 40 individuals, with one dominant male controlling all of it. And that brings us to the end of Part 1 of Chapter 5 of the #1 Survival Guide of the Cylinder.